So hello and welcome to the Osborne and Little Spring 2022 presentation. And we have 9 collections for you this season, and hopefully something to inspire you for each of the 4 seasons of the year. We have Lemoran prints and wallpapers with fresh prints on cottons and linens. We have breezy wide width sheers in Lumiere, and we have Beach House is a collection of decorative prints and weaves for your outdoor spaces, and also decadent velvets for those winter months to bring warmth and richness to your homes. So when we embark on a collection, with a studio we'll get together and we discuss ideas, and it's generally drawn from personal experiences where we might have gone on holiday or travelled at the weekend. And obviously travel has been much more restrictive this year. So when we talked about things, we realised that we had all had reconnected with nature and also appreciated what the British countryside has to offer. And for this reason we chose Cornwall as our inspiration behind Lemoran wallpapers and fabrics. So Cornwall is home to subtropical gardens, stunning sea views, and it has a wild, beautiful, rugged coastline. To set the scene for the collection, we commissioned the artist Joanna Charlotte to design a mural around this theme. And here you can see it's a panel mural, and it's as if you are walking along a coastal path overlooking a headland with this beautiful calm horizon and these cedar majestic trees. You have swallows gliding in and out of the canopy up here, and then lots of wildflowers of foxgloves as if you're in the meadow. We have done 3 colourways, each observing the different times of the day. So we go from this lovely sort of maybe June midday sun, and then to setting sun, and then another one which is a cooler, calmer sort of morning light. This is our Lemoran wallpaper, which takes its name from Lemoran House Gardens in southern Cornwall. The gardens themselves have a very Italianate feel. There are architectural follies and decorative urns, and it has quite a theatrical spirit to the gardens. We wanted to bring that into the wallpaper design, so we've created this sort of whimsical feel to this wallpaper, where we've exaggerated the blooms of poppies and anemones and fritillary. And also what we wanted to do was to bring those coastal shores back to the design, so we've included these little decorative shells which are perched around the rim of the pots and scattered on the floor. The wallpaper is a panel design, and it comes in 4 colourways. As with our Mirage design in the last collection, we've printed the design on a fine wide width linen, which looks really very beautiful. So we really love to show you our original designing in-house. We've got these paintings from the Lemoran design, these lovely anemone heads and poppies here. We chose to use an oil paint for this particular artwork because it really holds the colour very well, and you get that beautiful depth and intensity of shade. So because it was a long time, and you can see a lot of work going into all this original drawing, and we realised that within our Lemoran design, not everybody has a big enough wall or a window space to carry the Lemoran design. So we've used all the elements to recreate a smaller pattern in a wallpaper and coordinating fabric. So this is a digital wallpaper, and it's using a continuous roll at 70 centimetre wide, and we've created with the vines this ogee shape and introduced a trellis in the background. It's nice to add that little bit of more geometric, just to make it a little bit more contemporary. And then we have the fabric, which is digitally printed on this lovely crisp satin. So the satin really works well and picks up all the detail of the drawing. So the beautiful Treva Valley Gardens in Cornwall inspired our design of the same name, where we've recreated this repeating roll wallpaper and luxurious velvet. As with the gardens in Cornwall, the gardens start with a stream at the top of the landscape which cascades through this lush valley with wildflowers and cedar trees, and then the water meets the sea at the end of the garden. There is so much to see in this design, lots of hidden detail and these very intricate patternings. Within the design we have little hidden extra details, and I've got a little bit of the artwork here where you see Pendennis Castle, which is close to Treva Gardens in Cornwall. All these little paint markings almost remind you of hand-stitched quilts. It has a very comforting feel about it, and once the colours go on to this lovely viscose velvet, they become very intense and jewel-like, and it would be lovely to pick out some of those rich teals and red colours as simple planes to coordinate with this extravagant design. So we gave you a glimpse of our orchard design in our Christmas card earlier, and now you can see the full design without the fairy lights and baubles, and it is a central stem with a medley of fruits where you've got pomegranates and sweet pea, red currants, plums and figs, and it was such a wonderful design to colour. We really enjoy colouring this, and it works really well on these fresher grounds as well as these sort of rich terracotta tones, almost like sort of Tuscan look here. So we've translated onto a really lovely soft linen, which we have here. That's really beautiful in these autumnal colours, and on the richer grounds it just looks so stunning on this velvet, and a completely different story that we have here. So we have a little weave that we'd like to introduce to you as well, called Truro, and this is our Truro. It's a lovely rustic weave. It's got a wool boucle in there, and there's a colour palette of 16 colours, and it works really well. You can pick out these sort of Prussian colours, terracottas and golds. Now the wonderful thing about this design is that it's all made from natural fibres, wool, linen, cotton, and is inherently FR, passes crib 5. And there was a lovely story behind the mill that wove this design. A little English mill has been going for over 100 years, and over a generation of 4 generations of skilled weavers. And so it was a real pleasure to work with this company. It makes it a little bit more sustainable because it's all British made. We couldn't resist adding some new colourways to some of our favourite and best-selling designs. And behind me we've got the green wall wallpaper in these lovely peacock, viridian, peppermint tones with accents of sienna, and it's translated really well onto this cotton pearl velvet. As you can see, it works so beautifully. The smaller scale can lend itself to dining chairs and sofas, so a range of furniture styles. Really looks super. It does 100,000 rubs, which is an added benefit. And then we've also done a Mansfield, much richer tones, warmer colours than we have in the other 2 colourways, and Hartfield, a sophisticated palette of olives and these really dark mallard colours in there. It's really sophisticated. And interspersed here we have the Encore Velvet, a new palette of 25 colours. It's a really lovely cotton pile with a stain resistant finish. Does 45,000 rubs. Here we've got terracotta, peppermint, mallard, and this really gorgeous sienna colour, all really coordinating well across this palette. In the Imperial collection, we introduced a more vintage palette of colours with rich golds and olives, and we've continued that through to Lemoran fabric and wallpapers. And behind me we've got the second colouring of green wall, which is much more olive, richer sort of foresty greens, and I really like this little accent of the aqua tones in the ferns coming through. And on the table we have the Lemoran Trail, this much richer palette and a rich cream ground. Golds and terracottas will work really well here. And then we have Linton, which is a new stain resistant plain. It's also antibacterial and antimicrobial. It's constructed like a basket weave design with a mild yarn. Comes in a range of 25 colours, all very natural palette, and works very well with this sort of vintage look. We also have Kanoko 2, which is a new grass cloth. It has a heavier texture than the one we did in the first Kanoko wallpapers. As you can see, a lovely rich array of colours here. There's olives and neutrals. It has a flame resistant backing, non-woven backing, and it's the actual grass cloth is 100% hemp. So across the Lemoran collection we have plenty of fresh colourings on soft backgrounds, ecru grounds, but we also have this really rich, handsome and decadent colouring, starting with Lemoran with this smoky charcoal ground here, and Lemoran Trail with these rich jewel flower heads. Treba is the second colourway. There's a very hot landscape of these terracottas and golds, and Orchard with a very deep midnight, almost slightly navy ground, which looks fabulous on this velvet. Now what was lovely, which we haven't done before, is it's got more of an open ground, so it could also be really suitable for curtaining. Would look really beautiful. And then I'll show you Treba, which looks really fabulous. Looks lovely on a sofa we have in the photography. And all the colours work beautifully with our palette of Encore Velvet across the range here. These azure blues, turquoises, and then much softer tones going through to olives, plenty of neutrals, amber tones, and these terracottas, soft pinks and blush. Now, as we are at the seaside, we've introduced this palette of really soft ice cream pastels. Over in the Orchard design, we've got this pretty blush pink and this Gustavian pale blue, with shots of cobalt and this sort of violet colours. Little pops really makes it sparkle. And Lemoran Trail, and introducing Lumiere, which is a spray dyed chenille and gives this impression of sort of a speckled surface in a palette of 21 colours, all very soft, but quite unusual. So if you can see a little bit further here. And then we have this other colourway, a little bit more neutral here, with neutrals and blush, little pops of red, and it also achieves an abrasion of 60,000 rubs. Our seascape mural pays homage to those British landscape artists, and here we have a gallery wall of paintings. Some are in wooden frames and some are on canvas. We've looked at different seascapes, where if you're on the hilltop on a coastal walk, or if you're on the beach, and we've given them a little trompe-l'oeil effect to show that they're really hanging off the wall on this tongue and groove background. And the design comes in two colourways. We have this ivory and then this blue-grey background, and the coloration in the pictures is slightly richer with this colourway. And as with the changeable weather that we have in the British Isles, one minute it could be sunny, the next minute the clouds can come over. We've tried to depict that in these landscapes. And our Lumiere wide width shears that I have here are named after clouds. We have this very pretty lightweight design called Cirrus, and then a mid-weight is Ventus. Has a little this slub linen in there, slightly more textural, and then a heavier semi-sheer called Nimbus, which is like a basket weave and has this sort of mild effect, very textural. And the colour palette works beautifully with the seascape wallpaper, and the palette of colours is very natural. And the most important thing about this collection is that it is washable. This is our coralline wallpaper, a repeating half-drop design, a pretty underwater scene, very playful and painted in watercolour. You have schools of these fish and very delicately painted coral, and it's printed on a mica ground to give it that underwater feeling of the shimmering water. So we have it in three colourways, the ivory, and then this pale aqua, and then this deeper sort of deep water scene here in the navy. And to complement the wallpaper, we've also introduced it as a fabric in our new Beach House indoor-outdoor collection. Beach House is a collection of outdoor and indoor prints and weaves. And as I mentioned before, we have coralline as a fabric, outdoor fabric, coordinating well with the wallpaper in the ivory colourway, and we've also done it in the navy, as in the wallpaper. And what's nice about this quality, it has a linen look ground, so there's a slight slub in the cloth. And this follows on, we did a lot of drawing for this, and we really liked the last summer house collection, the Maranta design, and how full that design was. So we've then were inspired by that, and we've created a design which is this one here. This is Maritima. So it's this sort of underwater scene of corals and shells, and disguised within the seaweed you can see some fish, tropical fish, swimming amongst the seaweed. And again, we've got this intricately patterned detail within the drawing of the design. So this comes in two colourways. We also have it in the black and white, a little bit more neutral colouring. which looks very nice with our beach plain, a new quality, and it's a textured boucle, and it's got 3 colours within the pattern itself. It comes in 3 colourways. We also have a neutral there, and I'll show you the other colourway later, but all quite coordinate really nice with this black and white story. There is also, we were influenced by African textiles for this collection, and we have Cuba, which is this sort of vertical stripe. It's quite a chunky textured cloth, and this is offered in 4 colourways that each coordinate nicely across the range. It also has the benefit of being FR. So we thought that some of the imperial wallpapers would lend themselves really well to outdoor fabrics. So we've got Malabar, which we've brightened up the blues from the wallpaper, and looks really beautiful here. And it's on, we've again printed this on the linen look ground, so it brings out the textures within the design. To coordinate with this, we've got a new design which was based on African tie-dye textiles, and it's called Marinda, which is a nice little coordinate. We've got it in 2 colourways, this lovely cobalt blue and the indigo colourway. And here, so those look lovely together, and we've got some. Also, we've got Cuba. You could also, in the textured weave that you could bring in, that accent of turquoise, and also in the neutral colourway that we have here. So you can either bring out the neutrals or blues or hint of aquas. As you can see, we've changed the background for you, not only to show you another colourway of coastline mural, but also it complements the next colourway group I'm going to be showing you from Beach House, starting with the fresh green colourway of Malabar. We've brightened up those greens, and it's complemented by new colourways of our hammock design from the Summer House collection, which we love so much. So we've added 3 more colourways, this lovely pine green, an indigo, and a 3rd colourway in the pink. And then again we have taken Michaelia, one of the existing wallpaper designs from Imperial Wallpapers, and recreated the design as an outdoor fabric, where we've brightened up the colours and offered different coloured backgrounds. We have this turquoise, which again here could coordinate with some of the Cuba colourings. And finally, we redesigned the eucalyptus wallpaper, and we took out the eucalyptus leaves and we put more emphasis on the peony blooms. So there's much more coverage of the flowers. We've kept the little cabbage white butterflies fluttering in and out of the blooms, and this lovely fresh yellow and spring-like colourway. So we end on this fresh spring colour group with these ivory grounds and rich pink and red blooms with the Pioneer fabric design. It's complemented very nicely with the hammock in pink, and on the table we have Michaelia, a whole new colourway with this rich gold background. So thank you for joining, and we hope you enjoy the collections.